Ed this week caught up with Moody's Ratings Vice President and Senior Analyst Saranga Ranasinghe about what the potential deal means for both BHP and Anglo American.
So last Thursday, BHP confirmed that they've made a conditional, non-binding, all-share merger proposal to Anglo, which pretty much valued Anglo at around $60 billion. But this proposal was conditional on Anglo divesting its Kumba Iron Ore as well as Anglo American Platinum Limited, which together made up the largest exposure to South Africa for Anglo American. But since then, Anglo's board has rejected the proposal, but under UK takeover law, BHP has until the 22nd of May to make either a firm offer or declare its intentions of not doing so. Basically, they have to either make an offer or say they're not going to. But we just don't know whether an offer is going to happen. And if it does happen, we just don't know what the transaction will look like. But from a credit perspective, from a Moody's perspective, we think the combination of these two companies is going to be positive for BHP's business profile because it's going to add substantial scale to its core commodities like copper, met coal, and iron ore, and improve its diversification as well, like both geographically as well as operationally. But this is going to come at a high leverage for BHP, even though it's an all-share proposal, because Anglo operates at higher leverage levels compared to BHP.
So what's the advantage for BHP to expand its copper production?
Yeah, so copper, along with potash, their investments in potash, BHP categorizes as future-facing commodities. And if you look at the evolution of the company over the last little while, you can see that BHP has moved out of fossil fuels into these future-facing commodities. So copper plays a very big role in this because the fundamentals when it comes to demand over the next couple of decades are very strong for copper because it's going to be one of the most sought-after metals in the next couple of decades because of its use in energy transition. So as this transition happens, copper is going to be used in the infrastructure that is required for wind, solar, hydro. It's going to be used in electric vehicles for the charging infrastructure as well as the batteries. Then copper is used in pretty much all these household day-to-day items that we use as well. So as population grows, the demand for copper is going to grow. And this artificial intelligence boom that's taking place, it requires a lot of copper as well. So demand for copper is going to increase over time. But if you look at the supply side, the grades in the existing mines are declining. And at the same time, there haven't been any large new deposits that have been found either. So demand is increasing and supply is not able to keep up. So in this environment, anyone who has really good quality copper assets are going to be the winner, basically.
And Anglo's assets, are they pretty good?
Yeah, so I think even without Anglo's assets, BHP is a pretty large copper producer. It's one of the largest, if not the largest copper producer, and it definitely has the largest copper reserves in the world. But if you look at BHP's strategy when it comes to the assets they operate tier 1 assets. So you can loosely define it as being large and long life. So Anglo's assets pretty much fit the bill here when it comes to their copper exposure. They have assets in Peru, they have 2 mines in Chile, actually pretty close to Escondida, which is the largest copper mine in the world. That's majority owned by BHP and operated by BHP as well. So it's going to add scale. At Moody's, we expect this improvement to be on a pro forma basis close to about 50% with the combination of the two companies. And at the same time, it's also going to give them options when it comes to growth, growing that copper portfolio because you're adding new assets with further growth potential as well, right? And the other thing is, as I mentioned earlier, that diversification is also going to improve for BHP.
Does that seem like the most logical way to expand into copper, by buying someone else's assets rather than find a new asset and develop a mine all the way from scratch?
I guess there's advantages and disadvantages to both, but there haven't been a lot of new copper deposits that have been found. So that is another factor that is keeping copper prices up. It's now trading at maybe above the 10-year average as well, and our expectation and Moody's is that it will continue to do so in the next little while because of this demand. So that demand side is there, but there haven't been really large deposits that have been found. So BHP is spending money, not just BHP, all the other copper producers are spending money to grow organically as well, improve their production to combat that decline in grades. But at the same time, given that there haven't been anything new, large deposits that have been found, substantially large deposits that have been found, I guess acquiring each other or taking on somebody else's assets actually makes sense. So if you look at BHP, last year they acquired Oz Minerals, which came with copper assets as well. So they have been going down this path of acquiring assets or growing inorganically when it comes to copper.
And then there's a couple of other parts to this deal as well that BHP might potentially get. There's the iron ore assets in Brazil, there's the De Beers diamond mining company in South Africa, and metallurgical coal. Where do they fit into the BHP mix?
Yeah, so if you look at the commodity mix that they have right now, it's copper, iron ore, met coal, a little bit of nickel and potash, which they are still investing in. So when you look at the mix that Anglo is going to bring in, it's going to definitely support copper, met coal and the iron ore core commodities. But as you said, it's going to come with other commodities as well. But BHP has mentioned that they are going to do a strategic review to see whether they will fit in to their portfolio.
Saranga Ranasinghe from Moody's, thanks so much for your time today.
No problem. Thanks.